Jupiter as a planet is a benefic, natural benefic, right? It is supposed to give you all good things. It is expansive. It provides wealth, children, nurturing, good wisdom, knowledge. What happens when it goes retrograde? It provides an overcompensating aspect to it, OCD aspect to it, expansive self-image aspect to it. In this video, we shall deal with two case studies in birth chart as well as going towards Navamsha, because 1 to 36 years of age and post 36 years of age in Navamsha. That's the only way. If we do case studies, we'll get the impact of how the personality itself is changing through age. Yes, so let's get right into it. So Jupiter has a principle of retrogression, retrograde planet in your natal chart and in your Navamsha. That's what we'll consider with two case studies here. What is retrograde as a principle in your chart, in your natal chart? Begin with. Retrograde planet, any planet, is a principle of overcompensation by the soul energy, trying to overdo something, trying to be obsessive compulsive or OCD about it. The ego tries to have an excessive focus in that particular area, in that particular house, with that particular planetary characteristics and so on, in order to make up for the shortfall of energy, so to speak. The planets have to go forward, not backward with respect to Earth. So you're trying to compensate for it. You're trying to bring more of that Jupiterian energy into that area than necessary. That's retrograde. Now, Jupiter retrograde, we covered Saturn in the last one. Jupiter as the retrograde is an energy of people pleasing. Always trying to help others, always trying to overdo others. People please others at the cost of one's own self. It is also excessively amplified sense of self-image. Think too much about yourself. That's what the negative side of Jupiter can be. Your amplified sense of well-being. Thinking too much about oneself. Maybe to the extent of kind of covert narcissism, can be that also. They can become over preachy about stuff, trying to preach everything to everyone. They can become overzealous, spiritual bent of mind, especially if it's in 5th house, 8th house, 9th house dominantly, or the ascendant. Very preachy, I know more than you, I know all these religious stuff, I know all this spiritual stuff. So Jupiter retrograde, lastly, focus on the house area it sits in. That's what we are going to do in the case study. And the 5th aspect or 5th position from the Jupiter in the chart will be the maximum effect of this retrogression. Okay? So Jupiter, wherever it sits, for example, it sits in 1st house, it will be in 5th house. If it's 5th house, it is 9th house. And so on. We will see these two ladies' case studies now, and we will study each one's natal chart and Navamsha and how this plays out, because a retrograde planet, once it sits in natal, it will carry the same retrogression to all divisional charts as well. But natal chart being dominantly 1 to 36 years of age, and 36 onwards, after maturity of Saturn, typically Navamsha kicks in. So there is a change of ascendant typically, there is a change of planetary position. So the same person becomes another person after 36 years of age, so to speak. Astrological principles, nothing new I'm saying. Let's get into the case studies one by one. And we will also see and try to bring a deeper meaning with respect to the ascendant nakshatra. Okay, so let's get into it. This is the natal chart Jupiter positioning of Miss A. It's an actual client of mine. That's her natal chart. And her Jupiter is retrograde in the ascendant in Pushya Nakshatra. Ascendant is also in Pushya Nakshatra. First house Jupiter retrograde characteristics therefore become over optimistic, tendency to be overtly optimistic about themselves and their abilities. They may believe that they can achieve anything, sometimes underestimating the challenges they might face. You see where the downside comes now. People pleasing. Natural inclination to be nurturing and emotional security, more focused on pleasing others. Strong desire to be liked and may go out of their way to accommodate others' needs and wishes. This is the retrograde Jupiter in the first house. Expansive self-image, an individual with a broad, expansive sense of self-image. Jupiter is expansion, so naturally we carry that to the ascendant now, to the head. They may see themselves larger than life, which can be a source of confidence, but it can also lead to unrealistic expectation at times. Philosophical nature. They may have an unrealistically deep interest in philosophical and spiritual matters, trying to call everything as spiritual, trying to say everything is, well, as God wanted it to be. Trying to attribute everything to philosophy and spirituality doesn't really work. They might question their beliefs from time to time and engage in a lifelong quest for meaning and purpose, trying to always try and find a purpose, meaning behind everything. Obsessive about this. Risk taking. There is a willingness to take risks associated with this placement. The individual may be more daring, willing to step out of their comfort zone, which can lead to both success and failure, depending on many situations and the Mahadashas and so on. Self-improvement. Jupiter retrograde in the first house may also manifest as a strong desire for non-stop self-improvement, always reading some self-help books, always thinking, oh no, maybe I'm something less, maybe I need to compensate. See, Jupiter is wanting this person to overcompensate all the time sitting in the first house. Too much self-improvement, too much self-evaluation, too much self-criticism to the point of low self-worth. Deep one, isn't it? See, if an individual is always trying to question themselves, you will end up having very low self-worth, which is contradictory to Jupiter's energy. Jupiter wants to give a lot of good stuff. It's a natural benefic, you might say. But what happens when it's retrograde? See the downside of it. Now, the fifth aspect of this falls on the fifth house. Let's see that. The fifth aspect of it creates this Jupiter as wanting to have an idealistic creative vision, an over-optimistic approach to life. Fifth house is also optimism. Fifth house is children, romance, all these will come in. This individual is likely to have an idealistic, expansive vision when it comes to creative pursuits. They may set high standards, very high standards, for their creative projects, believing they can achieve great artistic success or creative feats. Over-amplification is not a good thing, folks. You and I know that. People pleasing with their own kids, their own children. Fifth house is the house of children. Their desire to please can impact their parenting skills. Fifth house. Overprotective and very preachy with their children, preaching their children all the time. This is wisdom, this is God, and so on. They may feel validated and fulfilled when they are able to please and nurture children in their lives. Trying to get at their identity. Fifth house is your self-identity, the navel chakra. They're trying to feed that by being overprotective of their children, preaching their children too much. Is the child having self-worth? I'm getting my self-worth through my child. See? Romantic over-enthusiasm. Fifth house is house of romance. They might approach love affairs with high hopes and an idealized view of their partners. Dangerous once again. Everybody is just human. However, they should be careful not to overlook the potential issues, right, and challenges and shortcomings due to their eagerness to please. It's again people pleasing the partner in this case, when in a courtship, when you're dating someone. Like you're trying to please the other person too much rather than seeing things for what they are. Teaching and mentoring, they have a strong desire to teach and mentor in creative and educational fields. This may be an excellent teacher material, sort of, because it's retrograde, it's an overzealous kind of a teacher. You might have come across those. But it's not healthy in the sense they might even want to people please their students. Trying to get the identity pleasing the students. Are my students happy with me? Always trying to focus on the student, whether they are happy or not, and getting a sense of self identity as a result from there. Now, quickly, let us see the ascendant nakshatra here, because this is important. Because ascendant nakshatra for her in natal is Pushya. The Pushya nakshatra, what is the life lesson? You can see the other things mentioned there, but the life lesson is always the most crucial. Don't hold back action thinking there isn't enough knowledge or wisdom. Both effort and knowledge are necessary. Pushya nakshatra is a very wise nakshatra, right? It is ruled by Brihaspati, Guru itself. Now, this nakshatra has a challenge. It says, I don't have enough knowledge right now. Let me gain some more degrees. Let me gain some more knowledge. Let me read some more spiritual books, for example. And see how that ties in into the earlier challenge that this person had. What did this person challenge have? It is in Pushya Nakshatra ascendant, and Jupiter retrograde is also in Pushya in her case. So she's always she's gained a lot of knowledge. She's trying to overcompensate in the beginning part of life till 36 years of age. And she's always thinking, oh no, I have not read enough books. I should perhaps research this more, read this more. You see what I'm saying? This is what it leads to in the natal. Now let's see Navamsha and how that plays out for her. This is her own chart. Now let's step into her Navamsha chart. Now let's consider her Navamsha. The same lady, her Navamsha chart, Miss A. So in the Navamsha, her Jupiter has moved to the 12th house. The retrograde Jupiter is the same, but now it has moved to the 9th house. Her ascendant is in Libra in Swati Nakshatra. So let's see what it brings her. Jupiter retrograde in the 12th house in Navamsha, which means what? After 36 years of age, typically. After 36 years, when she is of 36 years of age and beyond, she becomes obsessively spiritual in her exploration. She may have an overzealous, introspective approach to spirituality. Retrograde is also going within. Planet moves forward, it's going outward, typically. So, introverted discovery of self, over obsessive, overzealous about it. And since Jupiter is sitting in the house of spirituality, and Jupiter is a wise person, but now retrograde, it becomes very overzealous. Too much of spirituality and self-discovery. We even saw that in the natal till 36 years, so this is carrying forward for her. Natural ability to help others heal. She may become a good healer, whether through counseling, spirituality, or alternative healing modalities. People pleasing, spiritual communities. 12th house is about spiritual communities. All these new agey groups, for example. Tendency to be overly accommodating and self-sacrificing. 12th house is the house of self-sacrifice for the sake of others. They need to learn to balance their desire to please with self-care and assertiveness rather than people-pleasing. Hidden opportunities. 12th house is the house of hidden stuff, subconscious mind. Jupiter retrograde here may bring about hidden opportunities or blessings in disguise, but they need to spot it. The challenge will be to spot it. It is important to remain open to these possibilities and be patient in recognizing them. Expanding the subconscious mind. 12th house is the house of subconscious mind. They might delve into psychology, dream time, dreams, exploring the dreams and their meanings, okay, and exploration of subconscious mind. There's a potential for profound inner journey and transformation because of this Jupiter, because the focus becomes more on this Jupiter by the person. Charity and compassion. They might become over charitable, like giving to all these NGOs and that kind of stuff, to spiritual organizations, helping those in need, albeit quietly. Now, some characteristics are good. It's just the overdoing of something which we have to watch for. You may find fulfillment behind the scenes roles. 12th house is the house of working behind the scenes. 6th house, the opposite one, is working in the forefront, like your career. You may find fulfillment behind the scenes roles or working anonymously to make positive impact on society. That's what she might do. Dreams and visions. They may experience vivid dreams, premonitions, heightened intuitive sense. The dreams and visions may guide her towards her spiritual path, offer her insights into her own personal growth. Now that's the Jupiter sitting retrograde in the 12th house in her Navamsha. So all these characteristics would kick in after she's 36 years of age, or even after she gets married or has a relationship. The 5th house aspect falls on the 4th house now, home and family, homeland, heart, the immediate local community, emotional growth and healing. Over optimistic focus on emotional growth and healing within the family environment, her family environment, her spouse, kids, whatever. If she's staying with parents. She might be overtly focused on addressing all emotional issues because Jupiter retrograde is looking at that. People pleasing the family. It might lead her to please her family members. Also, mother, 4th house is the house of mother, and people of her local community, thinking it as the source of spiritual progress. Now, what do I mean by this? Because Jupiter is sitting in her 12th house retrograde, she might consider this people pleasing within the home environment as how much progress she has made spiritually, as a determination point, as her yardstick of spiritual progress. Reconnecting with roots. 4th house is the deepest house in any chart. With Jupiter retrograde, she could feel a strong desire to reconnect with her ancestral roots, family traditions, cultural heritage. All this is also 4th house. Jupiter aspects also is focused on all of this. This may involve researching family history, visiting ancestral places, or rekindling cultural practices. Over decorating the home environment. There you go. Once again, overdoing something might feel compulsive to make improvements or renovations in the living space. Time and again, renovating things. You see, over obsessive, bringing more plants, bringing more redecorating the place again and again. Supporting the family members and ambitions and dreams might be overtly focused on their dreams, on their achievements, their overtly focused on the mother, on the children, family. You may be needing to become a source of encouragement for family members' dreams and aspirations, helping them pursue their goals. Again, gotta be careful, she might be wanting to derive her sense of identity from doing for others. Jupiter wants to give always. Right? Now let us briefly see the ascendant nakshatra and how it plays in the Navamsha for her, the life lesson. Now her Navamsha ascendant, right, is Swati. What is the challenge of Swati? Life lesson. Individuality needs solitude for perfection and discovery of new territory. Swati's goal is to achieve this, bring this individuality forward. They have individuality, they have knowledge, they have a great deal of individuality. But Libra's challenge is to bring it to others. Right? And how does this tie into her chart? Well, if you see her Navamsha, she's doing all of this stuff with the Jupiter retrograde. Overtly focused on family, overtly focused on spirituality, but she needs to find her individuality. That is the drive of Swati Nakshatra. Alright? So she needs to get into the energy of Swati in order to fulfill her life's purpose. Now let us study Miss B natal chart. Miss B in her natal chart, that is from 1 to 36 years of her age, is sitting Jupiter retrograde within the ninth house, which is an exalted position for Jupiter typically. But now, since it's retrograde, what does it bring for her? Jupiter retrograde in ninth house natal. Let's quickly recap that. Over enthusiasm and preachy in beliefs and philosophies, always preaching in all kinds of social groups, Facebook groups, and so on. Strong desire to explore different philosophies, belief systems, cultures, jumping into new ideas without thorough analysis. People pleasing in matters of faith, over accommodating and respectful of other people's beliefs and values, compromising their own beliefs to avoid conflict. Jupiter does not like conflict. Jupiter likes compliance. But now, since it's retrograde, it is time to people please that aspect. Obsessed about higher education, ninth house is the house of higher education. Encourages an obsessive desire for higher education, always going, I want to do, master's degree, I want to do PhD, I want to do this, always going from one study to another. Formal or informal study. Foreign connections. Ninth house is the house of foreign lands. Over fascination with foreign land and other cultures of the world. Ninth house is the house of higher philosophies, worldview, other than one's own. Sort of you're neglecting your own and you're too obsessed about the other cultures. They may form meaningful connections with people from diverse backgrounds as a result. Over idealistic goals, lofty idealistic goals, difficulty maintaining a sense of realism and practicality in achieving aspirations. This is what it leads to, folks. Exploration of legal and ethical issues. Ninth house is also the house of legal stuff. It's also the house of banking. They might be even in that industry. Drawn to legal studies, advocacy, or ethical debates, where people-pleasing tendencies of her can help negotiate a common ground. This person can become a very good diplomat. Very good one. Now let's see the fifth house aspect of this. Fifth position from this Jupiter will become the ascendant. So it directly affects the head, what's going on in her own mind. So the fifth aspect from the ninth house, Jupiter retrograde, will fall on the ascendant. The ascendant in her case, in the natal chart, is in Ardra Nakshatra. We shall come to that and how it ties. What is this impact on ascendant giving us? Over enthusiastic persona, extreme enthusiasm and positivity, making a strong first impression on people. That's the first drive. People pleasing in interactions. In all social and personal interactions, a natural tendency to be accommodating, considerate of others. You might say over considerate of others. Needing to make people comfortable first. People going out of the way to please others and appreciated, which can feel sometimes people-pleasing attitude. For her, it's essential to strike a balance between accommodating others and asserting her own needs. Idealistic self-image. marked by a sense of over optimism and strong belief in her own capabilities. Too much exaggeration of what she is capable of. Idealized perception of self and potential. Too idealistic. Spiritual and philosophical self understanding. Her definition of self will arise from her spiritual side of things. Ninth house Jupiter. Seeking deeper self understanding and understanding of self through the lens of philosophical and spiritual exploration. How many times have I done this yoga? Or how many times have I done this breathing or pranayama? Or how many times have I done this mantra or this crystals or this tarot or whatever it is? The wise introvert. Jupiter in ninth house retrograde has much of this expansive energy turned inward. You may engage in inner growth and reflection, seeking personal expansion through self-awareness and introspection. Now, her ascendant in the natal chart is in Ardra. I promised you I will get to that. Here we go. What's the life lesson of Ardra? Using anger and grief to transform negativity. Now, how can this play out for her? If she is doing so much of spiritual work in ninth, excessively obsessing, and she is getting all these people pleasing from the ascendant, it is bound to make her frustrated somewhere. She will have feelings of guilt. Am I doing enough or not? She might get angry upon herself for not doing enough. This is what Ardra also is asking her to do. Transform yourself. You don't have to do all this spiritual yada yada in order to prove something to somebody else. Okay. Now, the same lady, let us get to her Navamsha and see what's going on there. Now, the same lady in Navamsha, in her chart, Jupiter retrograde lands in the second house for her. Now she has a Pisces ascendant, a water sign. And ascendant is in Revati Nakshatra in Pisces. So let's see what Jupiter in second house makes her do. The same lady, post 36 years of age. Over enthusiasm for personal values. Second house is the house of your personal values system. Strong enthusiasm, personal values, and principles. She may invest a lot of time and energy defining and refining them. Again, there's that overdoing aspect of Jupiter. Over optimistic, might be passionate about certain ideals or beliefs that guide her financial decisions. Second house is the house of finance. And this is important for her because this is post 36 when she really starts getting into the world, earning money, working. Over optimism in financial ventures. See, this can be a downside. Potential for financial growth and abundance, but this over optimism can lead to taking unnecessary risks. Personal values and personal self-worth derived from what is earned. Now your value system itself will depend on her family, how much she is earning for the family, how much she's providing money for the family. So sense of self-worth can be derived from there. Over charitable with family and elder siblings. Why? Because second house is also the house of elder siblings. Inclined to help family and elder siblings. Balancing personal values with material wealth. Achieving balance between personal value system vis-a-vis material wealth is significant theme in her life. Because this is post 36 years. She must learn to derive self-worth from qualities beyond financial success, beyond family values, beyond her own generosity. Now let's see the fifth aspect which falls in the sixth house for her. Jupiter in second house in her Navamsha aspects to the sixth house. Sixth house To recap, is the house of daily work, routines, loans, debts, litigation, fights. It's that house. So, workaholic in daily routine, trying to overcompensate too much work, right? Always focused on work. May be passionate about tasks and responsibilities that make up her day to day life. People pleasing in her workplace. Remember, this is Navamsha, suppose 36 years of age, so where she will be working, wherever, workplace, business, job, office, etc. Tendency to be over accommodating and excessively helpful to your colleagues and peers. Sixth house of peer group. Strive to create a harmonious and productive work environment. Always trying to create, no, let's not fight. Let's do this in a harmonious way. People pleasing. Expansive approach to health and service. Sixth house is the house of disease. Jupiter becomes health and service. She may become good in service kind of work. NGOs. Very open to various health practices, wellness philosophies. All these great wellness centers we have all over the place, making scams of all kinds. Wellness center, as if they are interested in that. As well as diverse ways of serving others. They may explore alternative healing methods and engage in various forms of service and volunteer work. It's daily work. Drawn to charitable work. They may do volunteer work, NGOs, etc. Balancing work, health, and service. She needs to find work balance with her health. Not neglecting herself for the sake of deep diving and putting herself too much out there, putting her energy too much into work. This house of daily work. The ascendant. Now let's finish up with this. Her ascendant is in Revati Nakshatra in Navamsha. So what does that give us? Life lesson, among others. Life lesson is for Revati is to find nurturing love with true companions. The challenge Revati is throwing at her is find your correct companions who will nurture you in order for you to feed that to others. So that arrangement over there is for her to find that true companion, right? That true companion may be found at her workplace. That true companion may be found in her partner. We haven't seen other planets of hers. If we deep dive into that, we can find out. Let me know in comments what you think is Jupiter retrograde doing in your chart, in your Navamsha. Okay? I shall continue to do this retrograde planets because it plays so dominantly in the charts. Very dominant aspect of our psyche, of our psychology. And we shall do different planets. In the meantime, take care, be safe. Thanks for watching.